I've worked the night shift at the Morrison Gallery for 9 years. 9 years of walking the same halls, checking the same locks, looking at the same paintings. I know every frame, every scratch on every floorboard, every light that flickers, and every bulb that's about to burn out. The gallery is quiet at night, the kind of quiet that gets inside you. After a while, you stop noticing it. After a while, you become part of it. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. My parents are dead. The gallery is the only place I belong. The paintings are the only company I need. That's what I told myself, anyway. The portrait arrived last Tuesday. Late 19th century, oil on canvas. The subject was a man, maybe 40 years old, dressed in the fashion of the 1880s. Dark suit, high collar. His face was thin, sharp cheekbones, eyes that followed you across the room. Every portrait's eyes follow you, that's not special. But his eyes were different. The restoration team noticed it first. They said the subject's gaze was misdirected, not looking at the viewer, looking past them, looking at something outside the frame's edge, something to the left, something the painter didn't include. They thought it was a mistake, an error in composition. They planned to study it, maybe restore it, maybe adjust the lighting to correct the effect. They never got the chance. The restoration room is in the East Wing. It's not on the camera grid. The director doesn't like cameras in the restoration area, says it makes the artists uncomfortable, so there's no footage of what happened in there. There's no footage of anything that happens in the East Wing after hours. I checked the room at 8 o'clock. The portrait was wrapped in acid-free paper, face down on the table. The restoration team had left for the day. Everything was in order. I checked again at midnight. The door was locked. My key. The same lock I've opened 10,000 times. But when I turned the handle, something was wrong. The drawer was open. 3 centimeters. Just enough to see inside. Nothing had been taken. The tools were all there. Brushes, solvents, magnifying glasses. But the drawer was open. I closed it. I know I closed it. I always close everything. 9 years of habit. The portrait was unwrapped, facing out. The paper was folded neatly on the floor beside the table. Not crumpled, not torn. Folded, like someone had taken their time. Like someone had been careful. I told myself it was nothing. Old building, drafts, static electricity can make paper shift. I've seen it before. The restoration team probably left the drawer open themselves. They're artists. They're not careful about things like that. So I rewrapped the portrait, put it face down, closed the drawer, locked the door, walked my rounds. But I couldn't stop thinking about the eyes. At 2 in the morning, I went back. The door was still locked. My lock. But when I opened it, the portrait was unwrapped again, facing out again. The paper was folded on the floor again. The drawer was open again. And the eyes were different. I know that sounds crazy. I know how it sounds. But I've been looking at paintings for 9 years. I know when a face has changed. The subject's eyes were no longer looking to the left. They were looking straight ahead, looking at me. Looking at the door, looking at the space where I was standing. I didn't touch it. I just stood there, staring at it, staring at a man who had been dead for over 100 years, a man whose eyes were now fixed on mine. That was when I heard it, the sound of someone turning pages, from the restoration room, at 2 in the morning, in a wing that was supposed to be empty. The sound was soft, deliberate, the specific rustle of acid-free paper, the kind of paper used to wrap old paintings. I walked toward the sound. My footsteps were loud on the floor, too loud. But the page-turning didn't stop. It continued, slow, measured. 1 page every few seconds. I reached the doorway. The sound stopped. The room was empty. The portrait was on the table, facing out. The paper was folded on the floor, the drawer was open, and on the table, next to the portrait, there was a photograph. An old one, black and white, faded at the edges. It showed the portrait's original unveiling in 1887, a crowd of people in old-fashioned clothes standing in a gallery that no longer exists. The portrait was in the center. The subject's eyes were looking to the left, but in the crowd there was a hole. One face had been carefully, surgically removed, cut out of the photograph. Not torn, cut, with a blade. So clean that the edges were almost invisible. I've seen this photograph before. In the gallery's archive. I've looked at it a dozen times. There was never a hole. There was never a missing face. I checked the security footage from the main gallery, the cameras that cover the East Wing entrance. At 1:47 a.m., someone walked past. I couldn't see their face. They were wearing dark clothes, moving slowly, deliberately. They didn't look at the camera. They didn't look anywhere except straight ahead. They walked into the East Wing at 1:47 a.m. They didn't walk out. I rewound the footage, watched it again. The person walked in at 1:47 a.m. The door closed behind them. I fast-forwarded. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. The door never opened. The person never came out. But at 2 a.m., I was in the restoration room. I saw the portrait unwrapped. I heard the pages turning. I was not alone in that room. I went back to the East Wing at 3 a.m. I don't know why. I should have called the police. I should have left the building. But I've been here for 9 years. This is my gallery. These are my paintings. I wasn't going to let someone steal from me. The door to the restoration room was open. Not unlocked. Open. The lock was still engaged. The bolt was still thrown. But the door was open. Like the lock had never mattered. Like the door had opened itself. The portrait was facing the wall. Not the way I left it. The way someone puts a painting when they don't want to look at it anymore. When they've seen too much. When they're afraid of what's looking back. I turned it around. The subject's eyes were closed. Not painted closed. Not damaged. Closed. Like a living person closing their eyes. The eyelids were painted shut. But they hadn't been that way before. I know they hadn't. I've looked at that face 100 times in the past week. The eyes were always open. Always watching. Always looking past the viewer at something we couldn't see. Now, they were closed. And the shadow on the wall behind the portrait, didn't match. The light in the restoration room came from above, fluorescent panels in the ceiling. The shadow should have been straight down, small, tight to the figure, but the shadow on the wall was cast from the side, from the left, from the direction the subject's eyes used to look. The shadow was moving. Not fast, not dramatic, just shifting, slowly, like someone turning their head, like someone who had been looking at something for a very long time and had finally decided to look somewhere else, somewhere closer. I heard a voice. One word. Quiet. From the direction of the East Gallery, from the wall where the portrait usually hangs. The word was my name. Not my last name, my first name. The name my mother used. The name no one at the gallery knows. The name I haven't heard spoken aloud in over 20 years. I ran. I don't remember leaving the East Wing. I don't remember locking the door behind me. I don't remember calling the police. I don't remember anything except the sound of that voice saying my name, over and over, getting closer. The police found me in the security office at 5 a.m. I was sitting in the dark. The lights were off. The monitors were off. I was just sitting there, staring at the wall, listening to a voice that wasn't there. They searched the East Wing. The portrait was on the table, facing up. The paper was folded. The drawer was closed. Everything was in order. The subject's eyes were open, looking to the left, the way they always had. The shadow was normal. The photograph was back in the archive. No hole. No missing face. The police said I must have fallen asleep, must have dreamed it, must have been stressed. 9 years of night shifts. It happens. I didn't argue. I just thanked them and went home. I don't work at the Morrison Gallery anymore. I retired early. The director was surprised. He said I was the best guard they'd ever had. He asked if I wanted to say goodbye to the paintings. I said no. But last week, I heard from the new guard, a young guy, early 30s. He said the portrait in the East Wing was his favorite. He said the subject's eyes followed you across the room. He said it was creepy, but beautiful. He asked me if I'd ever noticed anything strange about the shadow. He said sometimes, late at night, he could swear it moved. I didn't tell him what I know. I didn't tell him about the photograph. I didn't tell him about the voice. I didn't tell him that the subject's eyes weren't always looking to the left. I just told him to be careful, to lock the door, to never stay in the East Wing after 2 a.m. He laughed, said I was being superstitious. I hung up the phone, and I thought about the photograph, the one with the hole, the one the police said was never there. I know what I saw. I know whose face was missing. It was mine. The photograph was taken in 1887. I wasn't born yet, but my face was in that crowd, standing in the back, watching the portrait, looking at the subject's eyes. And the subject was looking back at me. I don't know how long that portrait has been waiting for me. I don't know how many guards came before me, stood in front of it, felt its eyes on their backs. I don't know where they are now. But I know the new guard's name. I know he works alone. I know he stays late. I know he likes to look at the portrait when the gallery is quiet. And last night, I dreamed about the photograph again. The crowd was the same. The portrait was the same. But the face in the back, my face, was gone, cut out. And in its place was a new face. Young, early 30s, smiling. I've been the property manager of the Lindemann building for 20 years. 20 years. That's longer than most of the tenants have been alive. I know every pipe, every wire, every locked door. I have a master key that opens every unit on every floor. The owners trust me. The tenants trust me. This building is my life. I don't have a wife. I don't have kids. My parents are dead. I haven't spoken to a friend outside of work in over a decade. The Lindemann is all I have. It's the only place I've ever belonged. That's what I thought, anyway. I'm leaving this building for the last time today. I'm not retired. I'm not fired. I'm leaving because I just found out that I never really worked here. I've been kept here, like something in a cage. And I only figured it out because I've been here long enough to see the pattern. Let me explain. The top floor of the Lindemann has 3 units, 7A, 7B, and 7C. In the 20 years I've managed this building, those 3 units have turned over 23 times, 23 different tenants. Some of them stayed for a year, some stayed for 6 months, some left after a few weeks. They always left in a hurry, mid-month, middle of the night, left their stuff behind, food in the fridge, clothes in the closet, half-finished letters on the desk. I never thought much about it. Some people can't handle old buildings. The noises, the drafts, the feeling of being watched. I'm used to all of that. I've been here so long that I don't even notice it anymore. But 6 months ago, I started paying attention. Unit 7C was empty. A tenant had left in the middle of the night, same as the others. I went in to do my inspection. Standard procedure. Check the windows, check the locks, make sure nothing was broken. The unit was clean. Too clean. The bed was made. The dishes were washed. The trash had been taken out. No one leaves a unit that clean when they're running away in the middle of the night. I locked up and left. The next morning I went back. The door was still locked, my lock, but when I opened it, something was wrong. The shoes by the door had been turned around, toes facing the wall. I keep my own shoes facing out, always have. I remember fixing them the day before. I was standing right there, and I thought, who leaves their shoes like that? So I turned them back. 24 hours later, they were facing the wall again. I told myself it was nothing. Old buildings shift. The floor tilts. Things move. I've seen it before. So I turned the shoes back, left the unit. Didn't think about it again. Until the candles went out. I had left a candle burning in 7C to air out the paint smell from the hallway work. 3 candles on the kitchen counter, 1 on the nightstand. All of them were cold the next morning. Not just blown out. Cold. Like they had been out for hours. The windows were closed. The door was locked. No draft, no wind. Nothing. That was when I started checking the other units on the top floor. 7B was worse. The tenant had been gone for 2 weeks. The unit was sealed. But when I opened the door, the air was warm. Not sun warm. Body warm. The specific heat of a room that someone just left. I walked through every room. Nothing was out of place, but the bathroom mirror was fogged, like someone had taken a hot shower. The water was cold. The pipes hadn't run in days. In 7A, I found a plate of food on the kitchen table, still warm. Spaghetti with meat sauce. No one had been in that unit for 3 weeks, and in every single unit I heard the same thing. A footstep directly above me. One slow step. Then the creak of weight settling, as if something had just sat down to wait. The top floor is the top floor. There's nothing above it except the roof. And the roof access has been locked for 2 years. I checked the lock myself. It's still secure. The footsteps are coming from inside the ceiling. I went up there yesterday. The crawl space between the top floor and the roof. It's not designed for people. Maybe 3 feet high, filled with insulation and electrical conduit. But someone has been living up there. There's a path worn through the insulation, a clear path that leads from above 7C to above 7A to above 7B. A circuit. And in the insulation, pressed into the fiberglass, there are handprints. Dozens of them, old ones, fresh ones. Some of them are small, some of them are larger, some of them match the size of my hands. I don't know how long they've been watching me, but I know they've been watching for a long time. Behind the water heater in the boiler room, there's a metal access panel. I've opened it maybe 3 times in 20 years, but last week I opened it again. And on the back of that panel, written in pencil, there's a list of names, going back to 1974. Dozens of them. I recognized some of them. Former tenants, former staff, the property manager before me, the one before him, the one before that. All of them worked here. All of them lived here. All of them disappeared. And at the bottom of the list, written in a different hand, there's a name I didn't recognize at first, but the date next to it. March 15th, 2004. The day I started this job. The name was mine. I don't remember writing it. I don't remember ever opening that panel before last week. But the handwriting is mine. The same loops, the same pressure, the same slant. I know my own handwriting. I've been signing maintenance logs for 20 years. I wrote my name on that list the day I started working here, and I have no memory of doing it. That was 3 days ago. Since then, I've been going through the old records, the ones in the basement, the ones no one has looked at in decades, and I found something. Every property manager who worked here before me, they all left the same way. No notice, no forwarding address, just gone. The owners never reported them missing, never filed a police report, just hired a new manager and moved on. But they didn't leave. They're still here. I found them in the crawl space. Not alive, not dead, something in between. They're in the walls. They've been in the walls for years, decades. Their bodies have changed. Their faces have changed. But they're still wearing the same clothes they wore when they disappeared. The same keychains, the same watches, the same wedding rings. They've been watching me my entire career, learning from me, waiting for me to figure it out. And now that I have, I understand what the list really is. It's not a record of who worked here. It's a menu. Every name on that list is someone who was kept, fed, cared for years, sometimes decades. And when they finally realized what was happening, when they finally understood that they were never the ones in control, they were moved into the walls, and the next one was brought in to take their place. I was brought in to take someone's place. The property manager before me. His name was on the list. His handwriting was on the panel. He wrote his name the day he started, just like I did. And 20 years later, he was in the walls, watching me, waiting for me to figure it out. I'm the longest-serving property manager in the history of this building. 20 years. I thought that meant I was good at my job. I thought that meant I was in control. I was just the one who took the longest to understand. I'm leaving now. I'm not going into the walls. I'm not going to become part of this building. I'm going to walk out the front door and keep walking. But I need someone to know what I found. Because the owners are going to hire someone new, a younger person, someone who needs the job. Someone who will tell themselves the same lies I told myself for 20 years. The building is settling. Old pipes, drafty windows, nothing to worry about. If you're listening to this and you're about to start a job at a building called the Lindemann, don't. Don't take the keys. Don't sign the paperwork. Don't open the access panel behind the water heater. And whatever you do, don't write your name on the list. Because once your name is on it, you're already in the walls. You just don't know it yet.